Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the psychology of injury in sport. To understand the psychology of injury, we first have to understand what injury is and how it's generally thought about. And even in the context of sports psychology, injury is defined as trauma to the body that causes temporary or permanent disability and inhibits motor function. You notice that that only talks about the physical aspect of injury. We know that it can cause pain and changes to your physical abilities, but what we don't ever think about, or usually don't think about, is the mental aspect of injury, how that can affect your performance. It can affect an athlete's performance by really taking their focus off their task at hand and their performance and thinking about the pain, right? So it's redirecting their mental efforts. So a little bit about causes and predictors of injuries. We all think of the physical factors. Um, these are all pretty well known for the most part, muscle imbalances, collisions, and so forth. But what we want to talk about a little bit is our social, psychological, and personality factors that play into it, right? So socially, valuing playing through pain, right? If your team culture is one of play through it no matter what, that can be, a predictor of injuries to come. Constraints on communication, your athletes not being able to express to you that they're injured or that they're hurt and that they need to take some time off or time break or whatever it may be, which goes right along with the stigma of expressing pain in sports, right? We want to act tough all the time. The psychological factors, right? Stress, anxiety, and other psychological variables. We know that there is a mind-body connection. So it doesn't just affect your mind, right? Stress on the mind is also stress on the body. And then personality factors, tough-mindedness and obsessive passion, right? We're tough. We want to push through everything. That's our personality. We're obsessed with reaching the goal no matter what it does to our body. Those type of mentalities can really lead to an increased likelihood of injuries. So when the injuries happen, there's different ways that it gets responded to. You can actually see a grief response process, which, as we know, is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then finally acceptance, right? That same exact process can happen with an injury. We can go through that same exact process. Other ways that people react to injury, collecting information about it, right? They want to know everything they can. How do I move on from this? What is it exactly? There's emotional upheaval. Why me? That kind of stuff. And hopefully what you see is a positive outlook and coping. Those are the emotional responses that are possible to have there. Cycle, you could see a total change in perspective. What's important to an athlete can change. Then emotions, coping, and it can even have effects on their relationships because of their self-confidence taking a hit. Other reactions, you can see identity loss, right? If all you think of yourself, your identity is playing this sport, and you can't for a while, you can lose your identity. Fear and anxiety, you see injured athletes have a lot of fear. They worry if they're ever going to recover, if they'll be re-injured, if they're going to get kicked off the team or replaced, those kind of things, and they get really in their head about that. Confidence loss, right? Performance decrements, right? Even if their knee is totally injured, they still psychologically don't want to plant on the right foot the same. And so you'll see change in their performance. And then there's group processes. Just the team has to react and figure out what they're going to do while this athlete is out. So when we're injured, we start the rehabilitation process. But what we really want to focus on is making sure that we heal both the mind and the body, not just focusing on those physical aspects. So you want to take a psychological approach to rehabilitation. You want to make sure that you take it in steps because the recovery happens in steps. You have to help the athlete deal with where they're at the time, right? So the emotional upheaval, that's what you have to help them with, right? When they're in that rehabilitation stage, it's you have to help them adhere to it, right? Keep them motivated to keep pressing on with that rehabilitation. So how do we grow through injury? The first thing is informational social support. support that's provided by significant people in your life, or athletic trainers, that it's just information about how you get along through the injury. And there's positive reframing, using coping strategies like positive self-talk and just viewing any progress positively. Optimism, just hoping for the best in each situation, expecting good things to happen. And then you have event centrality, try to make sure that this injury is not defining your life. You have to understand that is not the central part of your entire life. So what we really have to focus on here is teaching specific psychological coping skills. And those can be goal setting, positive self-talk, imagery or visualization, and relaxation training. So if we focus on those type of things, we should be able to help our athletes cope and recover from their injuries. Thank you so much.